Now for Sid Seixeiro, this is where I get 60 seconds to talk. Start the clock, please. Here's what's on my mind this morning. In 1950, Brazil lost the World Cup final at home to Uruguay. Country was devastated. Fans mourned for years. One man in particular wouldn't let it go. His tears flowed. And while watching this, his 9-year-old son looked up at his dad and said, "Don't worry, Dad. One day I'll help Brazil win a World Cup." 8 years later in Sweden, at the age of 17, he did. His name was Pelé, and he would go on to become one of the greatest names in world sport. Pelé, who passed away last week due to complications from colon cancer, would score over 1,200 goals in his career and raise the World Cup 3 times. No other player has done that. He also became arguably world sport's first true global superstar. Like in 1950, the nation of Brazil currently mourns. Pelé, as you've seen on the show already, lies in state in his hometown of Santos. Plenty of tears are being shed while Pelé's story ends. But it's worth remembering that his story also began with tears. Long live the king. He was amazing. Donnovan Bennett from the Going Deep podcast on Sportsnet 590 The Fan has been kind enough to join us. Donnovan, a massive, massive, massive sporting name leaving us. What did he mean to you?
He was the vanguard, if you will. And if you talk about sports icons that transcend sports, he paved that trail for Muhammad Ali around, the same era. But coming after him, a Michael Jordan, a LeBron James, a Leo Messi. In our country, obviously, a Wayne Gretzky. Someone who, when you heard their name, no matter where you were in the world, no matter if you were a sports fan or not, you knew the face, you knew the smile, you know the game, you knew the meaning, which is why the president of Brazil declared him a national treasure. Like, we need to put this in proper context, and you did a great job of it to start the show. This will be literally a state funeral. This is the royal of Brazil, equivalent to the royals in the UK. And so, given best athlete by the IOC and of the generation in 1999, I think what he means to the world's most loved game, football, soccer as we call it in North America, is unquestioned. So blaze a trail for so many to follow, including, now we're seeing great players coming to North America at the end of their career. I think vanguard is the word I'd use to describe it.
We've been running the live shot from Santos throughout the morning. Guys, if you want to, please go back to it, because the timing was perfect as Donovan was speaking there. Again, this is a live shot. We cannot say enough about how Brazil is hurting right now. And as Donovan kind of alluded to, this is for at least half the country a joyous time in Brazil. They've elected a new president. This is definitely a time of transition, although the president's now in his 3rd term technically. But there's a lot happening in the country of Brazil. With that said, to have it stop for this story is quite something. Will we ever see another like him, Donovan? Because he was one of those players who didn't go to Europe and was as big as Messi and was as big as Cristiano Ronaldo and was as big as Mbappe or any of the names that we now associate with the game of soccer. There will never be another like him.
I don't think so. You mentioned, the 1281 career pro goals, 77 goals in 92 matches, which is ridiculous return on investment from any attacking player. But we have a culture now because of Twitter where our athletes are Pepsi Coke. You're a Messi person, you're a Ronaldo person, you're a LeBron person, you're a Jordan person. Everyone was a Pelé person. And so I don't think in our current climate we'll have another. He was at that level where no matter what country you were, the style of football you like, you loved the person, you loved the player. I think he's a one-on-one.
And finally, Donovan, it's worth also remembering the 1970 World Cup, his last World Cup victory, was the first World Cup broadcast across the world in color. It was the first time people got to see the game of soccer in that way, and what they saw was Pelé's finest moment. I think that image is burned into a lot of people's memory. Maybe not some of our younger viewers right now. It's a little early for them in their life, but that you cannot put a finer point on it than Pelé had a chance to do something that had never been physically seen before on televisions across the world. And he did it, and he did it in a spectacular way. I would encourage any of our younger viewers, go back and watch some of the highlights from the '70 World Cup. He was unbelievable. People thought he was washed up. He went in there and dominated. Kind of like an Argentinian star that just went into a World Cup. Anyway, topic for another day. Donnovan, great stuff. I'll be joining Donnovan, by the way, later on Sportsnet 590, The Fan. We'll talk about DeMar Hamlin and what happened in the Bills-Bengals game last night. We'll talk about that coming up also on BT. Appreciate you, Donnovan. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks, Paul.
Pelé, the one and only. Big loss.